We got a long one today. That's what she said. Not a fan of milk. Found out my wife has been cheating on me. We have a 6-week-old baby. Now this is obviously a horrible situation and I cannot imagine what it would be like finding out something like this, and I hope to never ever experience it. But we are gonna read through this story, try maybe give some advice, probably this person will never see this video, but maybe it applies to you. Maybe you can get some out of it, And secretly we're gonna enjoy the drama just a little bit. My wife and I have been together nearly 8 years, married for 3. We have a 3-year-old son and a newborn. We have a loving relationship where we're best friends, have great communication and amazing and regular sex, which has just started again following the pregnancy. All in all, I would say a very healthy relationship. Well, obviously not. If we look at the title, this is obviously not true. I've never liked the idea of your partner also being your best friends. It kind of feels off when people say, yeah, we're like best friends. And I'm like, why? I mean, you're in a relationship to be more than best friends, no? And it's like, well, it's because we can laugh together and do fun activities. And I'm still like, that doesn't make, you can still do that as lovers, as partners. Why does it have to be friends? I don't know. It feels weird to call your significant other friend. That's just kind of a pet peeve of mine. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb. If you think that that's completely normal, explain why and your reasons. Because maybe you can change my mind, Or maybe I change yours. Maybe you're like, yeah, that is kind of weird. I'm glad someone finally said it. Or you think, this guy, he is so stupid. And he should be shot, honestly. He should be shot and killed for this stupid idea. Alright? That's completely normal. And I hate you. Let's keep reading. Almost 2 years ago now, I uncovered my wife's affair. I had picked up her phone to use it for my son because I didn't have mine to hand, and saw a flirtatious message between her and a work colleague, let's call him Jay. I immediately challenged my wife, and she said he was just being flirty because he was drunk and the message made her feel uncomfortable. I asked to see the rest of the conversation, but she had deleted it because of how uncomfortable she had felt. I had some red flags, but had no reason to truly disbelieve her, so we talked it through and I tried to let it go. Fast forward a couple of weeks and I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more going on. I did the horrible thing of checking through her phone, and in her deleted photos I found some pictures of her and Jay kissing. I immediately brought this to her and asked what was going on. She admitted that she had been having an affair with Jay for 2 months. They'd kissed and masturbated each other once, but that was it. It was mostly an emotional affair. She said she'd been having a crisis since she turned 30 earlier that year and was struggling mentally. She was feeling old, and that when Jay had shown an interest in her, it made her feel sexy and it was exciting. She wasn't in love with Jay, but felt trapped in the affair because he was in love with her, and if he got out she could lose her job because she is a higher rank than him. I asked her whether she chose me and our life or him, and she chose us. Now my alarm bells are going off like something ain't right. Here's what's not right. First of all, if you're having a crisis where you apparently don't feel sexy or you felt old, right? Why don't you talk about it to your significant other, your husband that you have a child with? I mean, I'd assume that that's the first person you go to when dealing with those types of issues, right? Secondly, do you not think that maybe it's a bad idea to have an affair? Like, does that just not cross your mind? I don't understand how. Honestly, I believe more happened because she said they masturbated once. BS. I don't trust that for a second, alright? You're a cheater. Once a cheater, always a cheater, right? First of all. Secondly, people often lie about how bad it was because they feel ashamed and they don't want to admit the truth because they've been caught. More probably happens. Because why would you believe her? She already cheated on you. Why would then everything she says must be truthful then after, right? Because, I mean, just because she lied once doesn't mean she'll lie more, right? Yes, she absolutely will. And I know it's more, like I said, I would have left, but I know it's more complicated when they have kids, but I just don't know how you justify it in your own head to cheat on your partner. Also, this guy, man, I'm sorry, but you're being a little delusional because your relationship is everything but healthy, since there's obviously no communication, and the sex life isn't that good, because she had an affair. Fast forward a year, and my wife and I were discussing having another child. We'd moved on a lot since I discovered the affair, and we had actually become closer as a result. I don't believe that for a second, but We fell pregnant quickly, but the pregnancy itself was tough because she was hypermesis. Severe pregnancy morning. Okay. Morning sickness. That blows. This wrecked her both physically and mentally. This was when I noticed her getting closer to Jay, but it seemed just to be a friendship. I don't want to be mean, because that's just mean, right? But you are so dumb. That is being mean. I can't just say, I don't want to be mean, but then be mean. But you have to be so delusional to think that that's just a friendship. Of course it's not, dude. I could see it from miles and miles away. Now, I already know that I'm reading a story. Not only that, I have an outside perspective, and it's a little easier to see stuff looking at it from the outside than being in there and looking around and noticing everything, right? So I understand it, but come on, man. You should have known, honestly. But I'm not blaming you. It's not your fault. And I actually do feel very bad for you. I don't want anyone to think that I'm like dogging on you when you're already having a rough time, alright? I sympathize with you, heavily, alright? You've got my sympathies. I was skeptical, but believed my wife when she had regrets the original affair. At least he was skeptical. Alright, I take some of it back now. Fine. I stand corrected. You were skeptical. Rightly so. My wife was very open and honest about her friendship with Jay and revealed a lot to me, so I didn't feel any need to doubt her, especially as we were having another child together. Her friendship with Jay was up and down as he kept pushing her away, especially when he found out she was pregnant. I put this down to him still having feelings for my wife and being heartbroken or something that she had fully moved on. Yeah, but why would you then have a friendship? This is what I don't understand. So he wanted to have sex with your wife, right? And he's in love with your wife. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm actually gonna hang out with the guy who's in love with me, but I moved on. But he hasn't, but I moved on, so don't worry about it. That's not weird. This is not weird, and will definitely not lead to an opportunity to have something bad happen. That will definitely not happen. No, don't worry about it. Duh! Come on, people! Come on! I hate to say it, but I don't like your wife. Our baby girl was born in January 2025, and my wife and I were a firm team and all seemed well. She went on maternity leave and we coped with the transition to having 2 children. It was at this time that Jay completely distanced himself from my wife, which she again told me all about. She felt upset about it, but said she didn't care because she had her family to look after. Again, I believed her foolishly. Alright. You recognize this shit. I'm gonna stop dogging on you now, because I've been kind of mean to you, okay? And I'm sorry, but I just had to get that off my chest, alright? Because like I said, we're gonna move on. About a month into her maternity leave, I came upon my wife texting her cousin. I walked up behind her whilst doing errands and saw she had screenshotted a message to Jay she had sent earlier that day saying this was the longest they'd gone without talking and that she missed him. I told her I thought this was totally inappropriate and I didn't like the emotional weight of her saying she missed him. She told me it wasn't in any way other than as a friendship. For whatever reason, I started to get doubts about what had been going on between Jay and my wife. That gut feeling, guys, more often than not, it's correct. And I'm not saying you could just immediately go like, I have a gut feeling, so I'm just accusing you right away. But when you get that feeling something's off, it might be worth investigating. Gathering evidence. Make sure you have a portfolio of stuff that once you actually break up and divorce, you can prove stuff. A couple of weeks later, our family traveled to Rome to spend time with my wife's family. She is Italian and she grew up there. She went out with her cousin one night and I felt compelled to check the notes on her iPad because I knew that she sometimes wrote down thoughts there. I found essentially a diary entry or perhaps a draft message to Jay where she said she doesn't do friends with benefits, and whilst the physical parts of their relationship were fun, it wasn't worth the risk if there wasn't more to it. She also said she still loved him but couldn't commit if he didn't love her, and she would stick with me if she had to. This entry was on the 28th of December. The next morning, I found a moment when my wife left her phone and quickly checked her WhatsApp. In the locked messages section, I found her conversation with Jay and the night before they were sexting. I didn't get much time with the phone, but I'd seen enough. I can't imagine that sexting is the furthest they've gone during the affair. I was/am devastated as this was a couple of days ago and I have no idea what to do. I want to challenge her right now with a view to know what's been something going on, then end everything. I would get on a plane and go back home. I'm so confused because my wife and I went for dinner last night and it was just us, no kids. We had an amazing time and told each other how much we loved one another. This is true on my part, even though I'm so hurt. I don't know whether to wait until we get home or just forget about it all and see what happens. I don't think I can move past this, especially as she was cheating on me throughout the pregnancy with our child. I do have doubts whether my daughter is mine, but I think she is. I'm so lost, in so much pain, and have so many questions. I love our life, I love our children. If I end things, all that will end and I will not be able to see my kids as much. It feels better to get this off my chest, so thank you and sorry for the splurge. First of all, don't say anything about the voice crack. Secondly, never apologize for sharing something like this, because I understand why you would need this off your chest. Thirdly, it is already ruined. You have this vision of your life being good now. I get to see my children, I have a family, and it works. But it doesn't work. You know what's happening now. You can't live in a delusion anymore because you can't pretend like you're not hurt. Because you are hurt. Those are just the facts. So you are gonna have to talk to her about it, you know? And even though it super sucks and I can't imagine going through something like this, you're gonna have to step up. And here's my advice on how to actually do that. So this was posted 4 hours ago. And like I said, he probably is not watching this. And if he was watching this, he's probably already clicked off because I was being quite mean. If you are actually watching this, I'm sorry about that, alright? And I'm gonna help you. Like I was talking about before, you gather evidence, right? If you get a moment with her phone again, try and take screenshots. So you have undeniable proof, alright? It's also maybe a good idea to talk to maybe a friend or family member who can then help you go through this, not only emotionally, but of course also with, like I said, screenshots or evidence, or if you need to place the crash whenever y'all break up, you know, something like that. To have someone in the loop already, so you have a second pair of eyes and a second brain to think through this, right? Who is maybe a little more rational than you are, because this is a very emotionally devastating thing to go through, of course. So maybe you're not thinking all that clear all the time. So I definitely recommend that. And yeah, I totally get not wanting to ruin this, kind of. Not that you'd be ruining it because your wife already did that, but I understand completely why you would maybe want to pretend like nothing happened. But like I said, you can't, because you know what happened and it did hurt you and it's still hurting you, and you can't just ignore that and start live. Yeah, like, you don't want to be a cuck. From what I'm getting here, that's not the lifestyle you want. That's the lifestyle you're gonna get, buddy, if you stay, and that's just not, that's pathetic. But it's gotta be real tough to not see your children all the time. But man, you can't just let this slide, really. But there's no denying that this situation just super sucks. Like, you are in such a horrible situation and none of it is your fault. And it's just so unfair. And I really, really feel for you. Because imagine, you're just trying to live your life and build a family. And someone else, your other half, just rips it apart. For what? For some pleasure? Only for some pleasure. And then she falls in love with Jay. Man, I wish I could give you better advice or something that would just immediately make it right. But the unfortunate thing is it's gonna have to come from you. You're gonna have to take all the action, and some people are gonna see you as the bad guy. That's why I think it's super important to have someone on your side already, who, like I said, thinks a little more rational and stuff, and can help you go through this in maybe a better way. I hope to never experience this, and I hope that you get out of this the happiest and the strongest and the closest to your children as possible. I really truly wish that for you. You know, I was kind of mean to you, but I do wish you the best. And on a very personal level, I can always recommend Jesus. But yeah, that will do for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your favorite. I'm running out of things to say. I always come up with something random, but I don't know. I don't know. Coffee. What's your favorite coffee or tea? Mine is just a good latte if I'm just drinking one, but regular black coffee does it for me if I'm gonna drink more than one cup, you know. Jesus loves you, and let's get out of here.